This is the next n8n killer. No, this is the next n8n killer. No, I'll build my n8n flows in Claude. Surely this won't go horribly wrong. What do you mean I'm getting errors? Why is this happening?
Hey guys, it's Joseph. In this video, I wanted to talk about something just a little different for today. Yes, in this video, today I actually wanted to be talking about a lot of these n8n killers, which, if you know, that's kind of crazy to me even saying that. And I also, want to just touch on myth busting and the reality of these type of programs and what they're able to do. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Joseph Sestito. I'm the Director of Artificial Intelligence for Hippo Advertising and the inaugural Be Good House Scholar. Now, that's a fancy way of saying I build really complicated workflows and I have a darn good time doing it. So, to actually get into the video here, I just wanted to talk about why a lot of these n8n killers are complete hype, why writing your n8n JSON inside of, say, Claude or Chat, while it might look nice, it actually will invite silent disaster. And just some of my other thoughts on like the automation industry as a whole. So I'm gonna get started here with talking about OpenAI's Agent Kit. Now, when I first heard about it, I was genuinely curious. I thought, hey, if OpenAI's been releasing some pretty cool stuff with like Sora and all that, I might check it out. And OpenAI's Agent Kit does actually have some pretty cool features, but to claim it's an n8n killer is completely ridiculous. For example, just by opening up the user interface here, we can only see it has a handful of nodes. You've got your agent, you've got an end node. The start node is kind of your trigger, but we're going to get into that in a sec. And it's only got a few tools. Now, what is kind of neat is this guardrails function here. You can actually detect whether somebody's trying to like jailbreak your stuff or even AI hallucinations, which I actually think would be a pretty cool feature in n8n. And the and it actually does have some unique cases, such as the output being in a widget. What a widget is just ChatKit. It's just a way to embed an AI like agent into a pretty UI. But like I was saying here, the logic, like there's only five five like logic and data operations here. Now again, I'm not bashing it. I think it's genuinely a good tool, but to say it's an n8n killer, which all we have to do is go over here to look at its very like this is just is data transformation, and these are triggers that it has. And now that's not even including the app event, which as you can see, where there's a lot of stuff here. So while I do think OpenAI's Agent Kit is neat and some of its features are pretty cool, and I'd even go as far to say if you're a beginner, 100% start with this. If you're just trying to learn automation or build out AI agents, yes, OpenAI's Agent Kit is probably the better option for you. Now, to say that, but like if you need to do some really heavy duty stuff or crazy logic like this, then OpenAI's Agent Kit just isn't built to handle that. And by the way, guys, with Google Opal, yeah, same thing. I just wasn't super impressed with it. But if you just need to compare the quality of say OpenAI's products to Google's products, and they kicked their butt on VO. Sora 2 is kicking VO's butt. ChatGPT is just infinitely better than Gemini. The only thing Gemini is actually useful is video analysis, and there's plenty of ways to get around that. Just go to Fall AI. But yeah, so Google's Opal has probably a similar flaws. Now, for those of you who were paying attention during that intro clip, um, that n8n code I told Claude to write here was a bit of a joke. Again, using 1,000 nodes to delete n8n nodes, for a deletion of a file in Google Drive probably isn't the best idea. But still, I think the example helps to illustrate kind of a point where if you just ask Claude to write, or Chat, or however you want to handle it, to write something for you without giving it like proper context, or even if you do, it's just the technology is very impressive, but it's just not there yet where it can build out these super fancy automations. For example, any vibe coder will tell you, like it's not, even if you're vibe coding, it's good, but you still have to keep an eye on it. This is particularly true of features such as like say we go over to n8n here. Let's say we want to do actually maybe this wasn't the best workflow to mess around in, but you get the, because like there's a lot of stuff here, but let's say that you wanted to create a cryptographic hash to secure your webhook or something. Yeah, you don't want to have Claude handle that because one, you're either exposing the credential in in an LLM, which is a big no-no, or it's gonna forget to do it, and yeah, that's not good. Hackers can like say attack your webhooks or whatever. Now, just to give you all some context on what n8n is actually doing, I'm sure you all have seen the graph. I'm sure you all have seen the graphs like this one right here, where we have n8n, make.com, and Zapier. There's a reason for this massive uptick. For example, make.com is pretty clunky and weird, and Zapier just gets ridiculous at scale. The only advantage to Zapier is there's a few integrations which n8n doesn't support, and they don't have public APIs yet, so you kind of have to go through them. Which actually we do have one like that, but I've been I emailed the CEO of the company, and he said it'll be released in a month or two. So once I get that, I'm immediately switching off Zapier. And also Zapier is just kind of rigid and clunky. You can only do these like very rigid logic paths where maybe you might like get a split or like a split path or a path or if else, but you can't really do much else. Where again in n8n you can build stuff like this, which is a lot of fun, and there's a reason why n8n is taking off. Now, lastly, I'm a big believer, and my business partner drilled this into me. Joseph, you have to listen to the market, and I agree with that. So let's see what the market's actually doing. I mean, that's pretty darn convincing. $180 million in a Series C fundraising, and just look at some of their articles, right? They're doing 180 million in Series C, and their valuation is $2.5 billion, which is really just amazing for a company like this, which even just kind of a year or two ago was a little obscure. Plus, look at these numbers: 6x user growth. They 10x their revenue in the last year alone, and that's insane. And that's not even talking about some of their new features like evaluations, which I'm actually going to be playing around with, and maybe release a video on it. Data tables, which, again, same thing, super awesome. And many, many more. They're always releasing new features where products like Zapier are just kind of clunky, really. And again, part of me does understand this. Like, if you're a content creator, right? Nothing grabs more headlines than an n8n killer, which, they're challenging a company which is worth $2.5 billion in valuation. So I'm not the best marketer. My brain kind of works like an engineer. I think like A to B rather than hype. But, part of me does understand that. But again, I just wanted to release this video where it's, more on the educational side, where it's like, and look, by the way, I'm somebody who loves to adapt and innovate and experiment. If there is a tool or, crazy thought, maybe I'll build one, who knows, right? But let's say there actually is a tool that is much better and cheaper or much more valuable than n8n, I'll be one of the first to hop on it, 100%. But, we need to, keep cutting through the hype. Or, I like to be the voice of reason, where I like to cut through the noise and say, okay, right? You'll get the Russells or whatever. Hey, here's a sales pitch, blah, blah, blah. But I like to say, okay, what's actually happening here? And what's actually happening here is, you saw my OBS studio, whatever, but, all these in crazy companies like Nvidia's venture capital arm and all these other companies are incredibly bullish on n8n, and you saw my OBS again. And because of that, I just always cringe a little bit whenever I hear an n8n killer. And by the way, this isn't even getting into somebody like vibe coded with Lovable, in like, I don't know, maybe 2 hours, and they call it an n8n killer and it's got a pretty interface. But when you actually like try to build something in it or whatever, it's got horrific bugs. But yeah, I just wanted to make this video more on the educational side, really. Just to talk about what's been going on in the automation space, because Nick Sarai, I've released a video about it too, and you know, he's one of the creators who I've been watching for a while. Like especially when I was first getting into it and learning how to do an API call and all that. You know, he kind of said the same thing. A lot of this automation content is, you know, kind of like all hype. You know, I built a $10 million or a $10 million 300 agents AI agent swarm or whatever. You know, like again, I like to, you know, I prefer to like keep things instead of grounded in hype, grounded in reality. And you know, especially for somebody who's newer in the space, a lot of that n8n killer stuff could be pretty misleading. So you know, again, thought I'd just release this quick video. Not my usual stuff. I do want to. I do want to do a live build, so maybe if you guys have any ideas of some automation I could build or something like that, or you know, if you want to something like that, it could be fun. But yeah, I just thought I'd release this great video. Yeah, again, n8n's great. They didn't pay me to make this or anything. I wish they did. Probably should. You know, hey n8n team, if you guys are looking to do some sponsorships, reach out to me. But besides that, yeah, I just wanted to make this quick video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.